Very excited about this. I have my first positive EV mathematically profitable entry, two-leg entry, two-pick entry on PrizePicks. So yesterday, we went through entries on PrizePicks and the math behind PrizePicks. So any two-pick entry, they're just giving you plus 200 odds, right? So if I have Jaylen Brown over 3.5 assists, Gabe over 2.5 shots on goal, $20 to win 60. Right? So that $60 includes the $20 in your entry. So it's $20 to win $40 of profit, which is just plus 200 odds, right? It doesn't matter if I change Gabe to Colton, right? This payout from PrizePicks for my entry is not changing. So what we want to do, what we kind of backed out yesterday, is that PrizePicks is implying each leg in your entry has odds of minus 137. So we need to look for picks in our prize pick entry that have a better win percentage, right, than 57.74%. We went through all of this math yesterday. Because again, if we're winning, each pick in our entry 57.74% of the time, then we're winning a two-leg entry 33.33% of the time, which means we're breaking even on our two-pick entries, right? A two-pick entry is plus 200 odds, so you need to win 1 out of 3 to break even. Lose $100, lose $100, make $200 in profit, you break even. So we need to look for picks in our entry that have an implied win probability above 57.74%. And that is where the OddsJam positive EV page comes in, because PrizePicks is giving us an implied price, implied odds of minus 137 on anything we bet in a two-leg entry, right? And that's relatively static from a two-leg entry to a three-leg entry to a four-leg entry. You're getting roughly, minus 128 to minus 137 based on how PrizePicks prices things, right? Based on how their entries work. So for a two-leg entry, we need to beat, zero vig odds of minus 137. We need all picks in our entry to have a win probability above 57.74%. So if we go to the OddsJam positive EV page, we can see for Gabe over 2.5 shots on goal, this minus 137, the implied price from PrizePicks, is positive EV with a profit margin of 2.86%. So if we actually just go right here, we can see PrizePicks is giving us an implied price of minus 137. Here are the odds on actual, sports books, on actual sports books. We're getting an implied price of minus 137 on PrizePicks. OddsJam Perfect Line prices this at minus 176 on the over and the under at plus 130. Right, so it would literally be a disaster to have Gabe under 2.5 shots on goal with an implied price at minus 137 from PrizePicks in your entry. That would be an absolute disaster because you are getting such a terrible price. The EV would literally be like negative 40%, whereas the over is actually positive EV if you can find another profitable entry to include. So we'll go through the math right here, right? So pick one is going to be Gabe over 2.5 shots on goal, right? And we have the odds from Pinnacle, right? The sharpest bookmaker, the sharpest line out there, the OddsJam Perfect Line. And we can use this market and devig this market to get our estimated win probability as well as the zero vig line. Right, so we can see Gabe over 2.5 shots on goal, according to the sharpest sportsbook in the world, has an implied win probability of 59.46% and an implied zero vig line, a devigged line of minus 146.67. So this implied price of minus 137 on PrizePicks is positive EV. Right, this is a great price because the zero vig price, as you can see on the positive EV page, is roughly minus 147. So a bit higher market width here, but you can see just kind of browsing, the odds on the sports books that minus 137 is an absolutely fantastic price. Minus 165, minus 164, minus 168. We're getting implied odds of minus 137 from PrizePicks. Right, so the win probability for this pick in our entry is 59.46%. So this is minus 146.67, and then this was, let's go back here, 59.46%. So 0.5946. That is going to be the first pick in our entry. And again, the win probability is 59.46%. We said for a two-pick entry, you need to be winning each leg over 57.74% of the time. for it to be profitable to include in your entry. And what we can see is that Gabe over 2.5 shots on goal should be hitting roughly 59.46% of the time, which we're just backing out from markets on the sharpest sportsbook out there, right here. Right? We're just devigging this market to get the estimated win probability, because the way that Pinnacle works is they have a model that spits out no vig, win percentages, the probability they think Gabe has for going over 2.5 shots on goal. Then they get their 0 vig odds, and then they vig their market. So first pick we're including in our entry. Now the second pick we're including is Jaylen Brown over 3.5 assists minus 137. So again, you can see here, PrizePicks is giving us an implied price of minus 137 on the over. It would literally be a disaster to bet to have the under in your entry minus 137, right? And you can see the minus 137 implied price is pretty good compared, just looking at all of the sportsbooks. DraftKings has this minus 170. We're getting an implied price of minus 137 from PrizePicks. Again, that is the implied odds of each pick in your entry, based on how PrizePicks, calculates things for a two-leg entry. Two-leg entry is plus 200 odds, which means that PrizePicks is implying each pick in your entry is minus 137. So what we can do again is we can take the market from pin minus 173 plus 128, plug that into a 0 vig calculator. We see that this bet is hitting 59.1% of the time. So we're beating, the 57.74% we needed to beat, 59.10%. So here we have that. So the win probability for our 2-pick entry on PrizePicks, we just multiply these, right? These are uncorrelated events. Jaylen Brown over 3.5 assists and Gabe over 2.5 shots on goal. These picks have no correlation, right? So the probability we win both of these is just the implied win probability for this bet, which again, we're finding by just devigging, the market from the sharpest sportsbook in the world, Pinnacle. And then we have this bet as well. So what was the fair price? Minus 144.45. So we'll go here, and then it's minus 144.45, right? So the win probability for our bet is just, the implied win probability for both of our picks multiplied together. The loss probability is just 1 minus this number. So we're winning our 2-pick entry on PrizePicks 35.14% of the time. Let's stake $100, which means the profit if we win this entry is going to be $200, because we're getting plus 200 odds, which is just what PrizePicks, again, gives you on every single 2-pick entry. It doesn't matter if you bet the over or the under. This payout is staying the same, right? Plus 200 odds. So let's go back here. We can back out the EV of our entry. So let's throw $100 on this, and then let's back out the EV. So boom. Okay, entry successfully submitted. Is there a way to view my entries? I'm not really sure. But anyways, oh, here, my entries. Boom, right here. So I guess this is how entries look. So plus 200 odds. Let's go through the EV very quickly. So 64.859% of the time, we are going to be losing our stake, which is how much we put on our entry of $100. So times -1. And then the rest of the time, 35.14% of the time, we are going to be winning $200 of profit. So on our $100 entry, we have $5 in profit margin, $5 in EV quantified mathematically using odds from the sharpest sportsbook in the world, devigging them to find the fair win probability for each bet. So our edge is 5.4% roughly. That's the EV of this 2-pick entry, right? We're getting the implied win probability for each pick in our entry. We're backing out the win probability for the entry as a whole, right? Both picks to win in our entry. So we just multiply these numbers together to get the fair win probability for our entry. And then we can back out our EV and our edge because we know we're just getting plus 200 odds. Jaylen Brown over 3.5 assists, Gabe over 2.5 shots on goal. Let's make money.